We're going to bring in Brock Vereen, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. Now, we made an executive decision, Dustin and I. We decided Brock is way too handsome when we bring him on Skype, so we're going to keep him on the phone so we can kind of show off here our looks and not be overshadowed by Big Ten Network Analyst, CBS Sports, NFL, college football analyst. You can see him on that other pregame show on CBS Sports Network on Sundays. Of course, you can hear him with the calls and the analysis on the Big Ten Network. This weekend, he's got Indiana at Purdue. We say, what's cracking to our buddy Brock Vereen. Hi, Brock. How are you?
I'm doing great now that my wife is 5 feet from me listening to this and just heard the compliment, and she can't tell me nothing the rest of the day.
That's right. Hey, and congratulations. You're still married. We're proud of you,
I'm still
Brock.
married. We're still going strong. Still going strong.
Now, you mentioned, and of course, you're going to be on that Indiana-Purdue call this weekend. We will discuss the game because gambling is allowed. You said you're going to have the Ohio State-Michigan game on the iPad. Can we start there, if you don't mind? It's Michigan laying 3.5. This has been a crazy ride as far as the number. This got all the way up, Brock, to Michigan laying 6, and now it's back down to 3.5. Let's start with the handicap here. I've got a lot of advantages in Michigan's corner. Where do you come out on this Ohio State-Michigan matchup?
So here is how I see the game going, and I've spent an unhealthy amount of time rattling this in my head. Ohio State is not a fast-starting team. It's just not who they are this year, and that's fine. I know it puts their fans in a panic because they're used to scoring 50 points a game. Kyle McCord is guilty of not being C.J. Stroud or Justin Fields. Sorry, but he's fine. But what Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are there. If there was an award for the best second half adjustments, they would win it. Like not even in college football, they make better halftime adjustments than anyone in sports for 2023. I see Michigan going into half with the lead. We'll call it 10-6. Something like that. If Michigan is not winning by more than 13 points at halftime, which they won't be, I see Ohio State making adjustments and coming back in the second half, and it's Marvin Harrison Jr. time. He's been unstoppable, and while Will Johnson is a sophomore corner from Michigan, future first-round pick, this guy is unbelievable. Hasn't had the year that they probably were hoping he would have, and Marvin Harrison Jr. will have time. So slow start by Ohio State. Second half is all Travion Henderson and Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Ohio State win, and Ryan Day will get no credit because Harbaugh's not there.
Talk about Kyle McCord a little bit more, Brock, because I'm with you. I think because of the C.J. Stroud factor, he's kind of getting unfairly criticized, whereas every time he's had to make a big throw in the fourth quarter, he's come through for them. What do you see from Kyle McCord that you like, and maybe what do you see that you don't like right now from him?
Here's the thing with Kyle McCord, right? Yes, on paper, he is an older guy, but he's inexperienced, and he enters the game, and for the whole first half, if the picture he's expecting to see post-snap is what he's expecting, he's fine. The problem is mentally, defensive coordinators have the advantage over him in the first half. He doesn't pick up on coverages as fast as Ryan Day and Brian Hartline probably would want, but that's fine. But that's why he's so good in the second half, because from a confidence standpoint, from a time to throw standpoint, after the half, they're saying, okay, they're lining up like this, they're playing this. They're lining up like this, they're playing this. And Ryan Day gets him right. Physically, he's fine. He's capable of making any throw. He's athletic enough. I know the ankle has been bothering him a little bit, but he's athletic enough to extend the pocket. It's just the mental side of things that he's a step behind on. But when you have Emeka Egbuka to your left, Cade Stover right next to you, Travion Henderson behind you, and Marvin Harrison Jr. to your right, you don't have to be that far ahead of the game mentally. That'll come next year. So that's the quote-unquote issue with Kyle McCord, which honestly, as great as this defense is playing, it's not an issue at all.
So just to clarify, you've got Ohio State winning straight up in Ann Arbor on Saturday, Brock.
I have Ohio State winning straight up. I have Michigan winning at half, them making adjustments, and this is where Harbaugh's absence is a factor. I feel Sharon Moore can ride off of emotion in the first half. I feel that when it comes down to X's and O's coaching, there's no one better than Ryan Day, and I have them winning the game.
Beautiful. Our buddy Brock Vereen joining us, Big Ten Network, CBS Sports. You mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, I know how special he is. Is he far and away the best wide receiver in the country? We always look at the draft market. Like Rome Odunze and Neighbors, you can throw some others. This is a very talented class. Do you have Harrison Jr. Head and shoulders as the best wide receiver in this class?
I do, but that doesn't mean that the second, third, and fourth wide receiver taken can't also make a similar impact in the NFL. If you have the second pick, if you have a top 10 pick and you want a receiver and Harrison Jr. is gone, I feel Keon Coleman is also in that conversation, depending on if you already have some speed in your wide receiver room and just want to go up and get a guy. But in regards to Marvin Harrison Jr., it's unbelievable. He is a slot receiver and a possession receiver all in one. I mean, I could talk about this for 3 hours straight, and he can toggle it back and forth. He comes off the line of scrimmage, sees how they're going to play him. Are they going to play him physically like a possession guy, or are they going to bail like he's a speed guy? And he switches to the other. I know that's not painting the clearest picture, but the easiest way to sum it up is play to play. He can be a slot receiver who's faster than you, or he can be a Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and just put his body on you. And I genuinely don't know if there's a comparison. The Calvin Johnson comparison makes sense because Calvin Johnson's one of the best to do it. I get it. I genuinely don't know if there's a receiver that's played football that you can compare to him. And the scariest thing about the Harrison Jr. family, if you talk to him, he's the first one to tell you his younger brother, who's still in high school, is better. So be nervous.
Scary.
Harrison's 40-1 to win the Heisman. Now, I think that means they've narrowed it down to Daniels, Nix, and Penix because he's the fourth shot on the board. But, Brock, I mean, You seem as high on him as I do. I think he has a very strong case for the best player in college football, which is what this award is supposed to be. One, do you have a vote for the Heisman? And two, do you think there's a case for Harrison?
I don't have a vote for the Heisman yet. Ask me in 2 years. I think things are trending the right way. But if I did have a vote for the Heisman this year, it is Marvin Harrison Jr. Unless Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is the most fun player to watch. But if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a 2-touchdown performance like I'm expecting him to have Saturday, I mean, going off against what people consider the best defense in the country, like what more do you want? I mean, he did it against Penn State, injured against Notre Dame, so I can't really hold that against him. But it kind of goes back to the Kyle McCord thing, too. Now, the Heisman is a team award, as they say, and whether Kyle McCord's quarterbacking hurts his chances or helps his chances kind of depends how you look at it. Do I believe they will give it to him? Not without a 2-touchdown, 180-yard performance.
Brock Vereen join us here, Sharp Money. So Michigan, Ohio State, where do you put them as far as Georgia, Oregon? I've got Georgia, Oregon, maybe a tad ahead of them. I'd like to hear your rankings with those teams.
I would say, well, I agree with your predisposition of having Washington at 5 or 6. I agree with that. I understand the head-to-head. This Oregon team is a different team. This Washington team is a different team. I have Georgia 1, and I feel there's a significant gap before Ohio State, who I have at 2. I would put Oregon at 3 and Michigan at 4, but I'm not mad if you have that flip. The same way that this Alabama team has just become an entirely different unit in the last month, Oregon is just like that as well. I feel that Ohio State not putting up 1 million points a week, we've just come accustomed to that. So we feel this as a step backwards. It's not a step backwards. They're just winning differently. They're a defensively led team. And because the slow starts of McCord are such a big story, because Marvin Harrison Jr. being incredible is a big story, their defense being incredible times 1 million is just not as interesting of a talking point. This defense is no joke.
Brock Vereen, he's going to be for the Big Ten Network on the Indiana-Purdue call. I'll have the volume up on that game. Maybe I'll look into Ohio State-Michigan, but I'll have that on mute. Of course, the Big Ten Network, the other pregame show on CBS, doing a great job. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your wife and your family, and thanks for the time, Brock. Appreciate you.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.